In this episode, we're going to be telling y'all all about how to keep it spicy in a relationship and how to keep the romance alive. We have been together for 8+ years, so we really know what we're talking about as it pertains to keeping the romance alive, and we are not bored with each other, and neither of us have cheated. So we're going to tell you how to stay loyal and stay in love and keep it hot and keep it fresh. What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Hanging Out Forever podcast. My name is Asia Corinne, your host, and I'm here with my boyfriend of almost 9+ years and co-host.
That's me, Grant Blackwell. What's
right
up?
On. All right, so we are finna get into the topic of today, and the topic of today is how to keep your romantic relationship romantic. Or how to keep your relationship romantic. Yeah. And you know that we're all besties here, and besties keep it real, no frou-frou shit. So we're gonna really tell you how to keep it real.
That's true. And clearly it's Valentine's Day.
Yes, it's our Valentine's Day.
Can't you see the setup?
Special.
Look at this beautiful setup that Asia set up. So it's Valentine's Day, and we were thinking of what kind of concept could we talk about on Valentine's Day? What is important to Valentine's Day? And it's the romance, right? It's the romance, it's relationships, and something that you need to make sure that you're keeping up on in your relationship is romance.
Absolutely.
So
from all of our extensive years of experience, our ups and downs and the challenges that we've had in our relationship, the times that we've liked each other, the times that we've not liked each other, and the times that we have not been able to get enough of each other, yummy. Yeah. We're going to be talking about how to maintain the spark in your relationship for Valentine's Day.
And we're also dressed up right now.
We're on a date.
This is date night, baby.
Yay.
This is date night. So you guys are coming to Valentine's Day night with us.
Yes. Okay.
That's why we look so fresh.
Y'all. Grant looks with the jacket, without the jacket. There was this. Okay, I'm gonna go off topic for a second, but there was this video, and this black woman. She's also in an interracial relationship. You've probably seen her. You've probably seen it, me watch their content. Okay. And she's with this jacked kind of Clark Kent looking ass white dude. He's nerdy, but he's jacked. And he pushed her up against a wall, and her knees buckled. And I had commented, I said, my man did something similar with me recently, and my knees buckled like I've never even known how to stand.
Yeah, no, I think I remember that happened the other day, and you literally dropped down. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, oh my God.
Yeah.
I don't know what you did. What'd you do?
I don't remember, but I think I was helping you up off the couch or something, and the way I grabbed you.
No. We were in the kitchen.
Oh.
And you did something, you grabbed me.
I don't remember.
In a way.
Yeah, in a way, some type of way.
A thing.
In a romantic way.
I don't know if it was romantic, but it made me hot. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway. So we're going to get into how to maintain the romance in your relationship. If it's 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, at 6 months, you guys shouldn't be having any romance problems. But some people do a few years down the road.
Yeah. I mean, even at 6 months, I think that you're still learning each other.
That's a good point.
Yeah. You know what I mean? You can't really put a timeline on when you're going to fully get to know your partner. It does take time. And I think that a big thing with romance in a relationship is getting to know your partner's love language, not being selfish to only your love language, or not being stuck in your own, not being stuck in your own way of showing love. You need to recognize that your partner may receive it differently. So I think that takes time, Yeah. That takes time.
Love language, that's a really big one, is understanding what your partner's love language is and learning how to love them outside of your own comfort zone of love language. Because when we first got together, your love language is physical touch and quality time. That is not my love language. And for everybody that doesn't know, the 5 love languages are physical touch, quality time, gifts, words of affirmation, and acts of service. Those are the 5 love languages. And Grant's first 2 are physical touch and quality time. And mine, I would probably say, are gifts and acts of service.
Acts of service,
yeah. So because when we first started dating, his love language was physical touch and quality time, and mine are gifts and acts of service. Those are totally different, and we rank them differently too. His love languages are at the bottom of mine, and my love languages are at the bottom of your ranking list.
Yeah.
So it became difficult for us to get on the same page with how we wanted each other to be valued and show up in our relationship. And we had this disagreement one time where I had told him, we're not going on a date. We're not spending any intentional time. I don't feel like I'm important. I like to not be wined and dined in the sense of, oh, spend hundreds of dollars on me every time we go out, but just more as a colloquialism of, I want to go out. Like, let's go to a nice place where we don't have to spend a lot of money, but it's still chill. Like, I like to go to dinner and you like to go to lunch. And I remember we had this argument one time and I said, we haven't been on a date in forever. How come we're not dating? Like, what's going on? Is our relationship dead? Is the spark died? Whatever. And you had said, no, our spark isn't dead. Like, we've been going to lunch every day this week. And that's when it clicked for me that lunch is a date for you, but lunch is just lunch to me.
Yeah.
You know? And so getting on the same page with your partner and being able to meet them where they're at.
And it also, like, it wasn't as intentional, the lunch dates.
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
true.
It was just us kind of like going and getting food. It wasn't really like an intentional thing of like, I specifically chose this place and, you know, I was doing something like a service for you, or like I was surprising you with something. It wasn't as intentional other than just getting lunch.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where I understood where you were coming from of like, this isn't like going on a date for me. You know, this isn't going on a date. This is just kind of going and getting some food somewhere.
Right.
And even like going to just like get food, it's kind of a slippery slope there too of like, are we just eating or is it like a date? I think there's kind of a blurred line there.
But I think you hit it on the head when you said it's about intentionality.
Yeah.
And that's one of the really big things to keep your romance and your relationship alive is to constantly be intentional of your partner's needs, your partner's boundaries, the things that your partner prefers, and showing up in those ways and having that open communication to where if I'm not feeling like you're being intentional, I can at least say, hey, I feel like we haven't spent a lot of intentional time together. What is it that we can do to spend more intentional time? And there's been times where I think one of my favorite dates, Grant is like the king of dates though, honestly. So one of my favorite dates that you ever took me on was, I think you had taken me to the mall, or you had taken me to the mall and you were like, let's go to the mall. I want to buy you a dress. So let's go to the mall. I want to buy you a dress because we're going out to dinner tonight. And so you took me to the mall. I don't remember how much money we spent. It doesn't matter. But like, you took me to the mall, bought me this gorgeous dress. And then I got ready that night. And then we went to dinner at this place and you had not told me anything about it. So I think that's part of intentionality is, especially women and men too. Like, men like going on dates, but especially women. I love being told, here's some money, go get something. Let's be ready at 8. Oh my God, that is a weak spot for me. So
That's
I
some
think
rom-com shit right there.
it is. It's sexy too. And I feel like a lot of people don't do that enough. And a part of that is being able to trust your partner to not disappoint you. So I would say after intentionality and being present and making sure that you're reciprocating or know that you're receiving your partner's needs, I think the next thing is trusting your partner to execute the plan. Because I feel like there was a part in our relationship where we were losing love, and not even love, but maybe like respect for one another. There was a part in our relationship where we were losing respect for one another because I didn't trust you. I didn't trust you to get things done. I didn't trust you to show up. I didn't trust you to come through. And you had felt like you had proven yourself. And I still didn't feel like that was the case. And I think that really threw off our romance for a really long time. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know if it threw it off for a really long time, but I definitely remember like it was more in the beginning of our relationship. There was a lot of adjustment periods like throughout the years, the first like few years. And and it's exactly what I said. I was kind of adjusting to what you like and how you receive these certain things. And, you know, like, for example, you love like a surprise element to receiving gifts or to receiving something. So, you know, I would always try to implement that on like our anniversary, but it took time for me to figure out how I can implement a surprise aspect in things, you know, because you have to be creative. You know, you really have to have a creative mind to think of these, you know, these new date ideas or these new gift ideas or whatever I'm going to be giving you. It takes creativity to do that, you know, and it takes time for me to get in the mindset to be able to give you all of that as well. And that's kind of what I was saying before. That's what I meant by before of like, it takes time to fully adjust to one another and things like that. So, but I think that, you know, for all the men out there, ladies, I think the majority of women love a surprise. I think that's a huge, plus when you're giving them something for your anniversary, or if you're taking them on a date, maybe don't tell them where you're going. It's like little things like that, just be like, hey, like what I did, like, let's go get you a dress and then we're going to go to this place. And I didn't really say the location or anything like that. And so it really adds to, the mystique and the surprise aspect of it really adds to the gift that you're giving this person. And then if you have multiple things kind of planned throughout, they don't even have to be something crazy or complicated or expensive. Cause even, the dress that we bought you, it wasn't like crazy expensive. You know what I mean? I think we went to Fashion Nova.
Yeah, it was gorgeous, y'all.
It was beautiful though. It looked great on her, obviously, but you don't have to, it doesn't have to be this huge, like expensive purchase. It can be something simple. It's just the thought of it that really counts and that really adds to it, adds the value.
The underlying message of what I feel like you're saying is to remain creative.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a part of it.
I feel like creativity is a really big part.
Creativity, awareness,
intentionality are really big ones. And for us, being creative is, I would say that's part of like the biggest glue in our relationship. We're always doing things that are creative, and we both work in the same creative field as well. So, we're both filmmakers, so that also helps, but it helps us create things that are fun for each other. Yeah. There was this date. I think it was another date that Grant did for me. And we had a little date in the house. It was like our 3 or 4 year anniversary. One of my good friends is a private chef, and Grant hired him to come over and cook for us. Yeah. And was that the time that you had all those pictures on the wall, like hanging from the ceiling, or did I do that?
You did that. Yeah, but I set up the patio really nice. We have like the small patio, but we had actually just like revamped it ourselves. Like we made it all nice out there. And then I hired her friend who's a private chef, and he came over and he brought like a table, and we had like a nice setup and everything.
Yeah, it was so sweet.
Yeah, it was so fun. And that was a surprise element too. She had no idea what was going to happen. And then, she saw that I had set up a nice dinner for us on the patio, and she was already like, oh wow, this is great. Yeah. You know what I mean? And she's amazing. She's she doesn't record. She's like very intentional. So she doesn't need it to be this crazy expensive. Like we don't need to go to like a 5-star dinner for our anniversary or anything like that. Like she's very much just wants intention with it. So I set it up on our patio at our house, easy, and but the surprise element was when her good friend came out and started serving us our appetizers and stuff like that, and she was like, oh my gosh, you know what I mean?
Because it's been a while since I've seen him too.
Yeah. So it was great. It just had all those parts to it, all those elements to it.
So being creative is a really important part of keeping the romance alive in your relationship, because it's nice to never know what to expect. And I think a lot of people get caught up in monotony, where it's like, okay, we've been together for so long and now it's just this, and we don't prioritize dates because there's so many things to do. I don't care what anybody says. Never make an excuse for why you cannot go on a date. Yeah. Dates are literally they are the gorilla glue for your relationship. Personally, to me, it's dates, sex, and communication. But that's because I value sex a lot. A lot of people might not value sex like as much as me.
Even with all of those things, like at the end of the day, the foundation is creativity.
Don't make excuses for why you can't do something for your partner, because literally, like, I will go to the dollar store and set up something really nice for Grant every once in a while. Or
Asia has introduced me to the world of the Dollar Tree.
Please.
She really she gets
I go to
like
y'all, all this setup stuff, I got this from the dollar store,
everything from the dollar store. Like the dollar store is like low-key goated. I didn't even know.
It is.
Yeah.
You can get literally everything you need from the dollar store. So if you're looking to set up a cute, budget-friendly date for your partner, go to the dollar store. There's no shade in that. They have really good snacks. They have all the snacks. They're just cheaper. You know what I mean? So they have great snacks. They have great candy. They have like juice in there. Some of the juice that I don't buy juice from there, but like they do have groceries that you could buy.
They're just a little dustier.
They're super dusty.
They have
but it doesn't
hint
matter.
Of dust to the taste. But
no, they don't have any dust in the taste. But like on the packaging,
if you
sometimes
buy candies
it's dusty.
from there,
I buy candy from there.
There is a hint of dust.
Don't shade the Dollar Tree.
It's a little dusty.
But what I'm saying is like you can be creative by going to the Dollar Tree or dollar store, whatever, and coming up with an idea that your partner would really, really love and doing that. You can go buy paint. You can go get balloons. You can go do something fun. You can come up with a card game, you know, things like that. And so that's a part of keeping it creative and not letting your budget stop you from loving your partner properly, because everybody thinks that you need so much to be shown love, right? There are some people who have partners who are like, oh, if they didn't spend $200, I'm not interested, right? But hopefully that's not your situation. And if you're in a situation that is friendly to your budget, then there's no reason that you shouldn't be able to show the person that you're with how you love them. Because at the end of the day, for most people, it's not about the dollar spent. It's 100% about intentionality. Like what was the thought process behind this?
You want to find a partner who you want to find somebody who cares more about intention in a gift than the price of a gift.
Right.
You know, if you start dating a woman and all she cares about is the price of something that you're getting her and not the intention behind it, not what you went through to get it for her or the surprise element of it, you got to get out of that, because unless you're like consistently making good money to upkeep that, you're going to just burn through all your money, and then you're going to see then you'll really see what she's there for, you know? So that can't be the foundation of it. Like we said, the foundation of it has to be, you know, the intention of it, the creativity of it, and finding somebody who appreciates that.
Yeah.
Like people always say that the key is communication, but you have to be creative in the ways you communicate too. You know, creativity is always the foundation of all these aspects of a relationship. Communication, your sex life, all these things, you know, are you need to be creative to keep it fresh.
Absolutely. That brings me to another point, is appreciation. I definitely think that's one of the things to keep romance alive, because I was guilty of not appreciating you for all the things that you brought to our relationship, because when we first started dating, I had a very different set of values. I had a very different set of things that I valued in people and that I valued in men. And being with you over time, I've shifted those values because I grew up in a very power forward environment. So I was very obsessed with like aggression.
Your parents are very like power driven, like entrepreneurial, like get it, grind.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't mean like aggression as in like beating somebody up. I mean more like active, very aggressive with what you want in your life. So I had a different set of values when we first started dating, and I wasn't able to appreciate you for what you brought to our relationship. And over time, I would say that was a hindrance to our connection, right? I don't know about sexually or not, but it was definitely it was, because when you don't appreciate your partner, you begin to doubt them, and then they begin to doubt themselves. And then that really permeates throughout your entire relationship. It permeates throughout how they communicate with you, the things they're willing to do for you, how far out of their way they're willing to go for you, their sex drive, your sex life. It really will crumble a lot of things around you when you don't have the confidence in your partner and when you don't appreciate them.
I wasn't used to dating somebody that was so like outspoken.
Yeah.
So, you know, would just basically speak your mind, exactly how you're feeling about things. Because, you know, like if you see a flaw, if you see something that is being done in a way that you wouldn't do it, you would call it out right away.
Yeah.
And so that would make me kind of overthink things, you know, it would make me overthink what I got going on or what I'm doing. And then I think I basically at some point just had to be like, yo, like, this is how I do it. I know you think that your way is best, but you know, you can take a back seat. I got it. We're good. You know? So, and that took time, obviously, for you to realize that, because at the end of the day, I think that it's also rooted in trust issues, which you had, you know? And I think that it stems from the same thing of you growing up and you learning to be, you know, very like go-getter, very like outspoken on how you feel about certain things, making sure that everybody knows like where you stand. You also had trust issues that kind of rooted from that same upbringing. And I think it was hard for you to understand the way that I took the lead, or the way that, like what you said before, like my way of doing things was different than from what you were used to. So it took some time for you to trust that, but eventually, you know, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of keeping romance in your relationship is trusting your partner, especially a man, y'all. Like men, your man really needs to feel like you trust him because that gives him the confidence to move through the world. I'm not lying. Like before, I used to think that your confidence should be derived from you and nothing else, right? But then I realized that you, as my man, that you need to feel like I trust you to be my man.
For sure.
And if I don't trust you to be my man, how can you step up and be the man that I need you to be?
Yeah.
So I had to give you space in order to grow and space to trust you and to make you feel like I believed what you were telling me, or make you feel like I believed that you had my best intentions and that you're always going to try your hardest for me. And I feel like that was a big shift in our relationship as well, as when I started being like, okay, baby, it's your choice, baby. I trust you.
Yeah.
I don't know, Grant. You make that decision.
Or
I'm
just
just
letting
here.
me take the initiative on things, and like just naturally, I just began to start leading things more.
Yeah.
I feel
because it was about confidence.
Once you let go.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was exactly. It was about trust on your end, and it was about confidence on my end, you know, and just making sure that you knew where I stood or where you stood.
Right.
And you know, if you give that to somebody in a relationship and they still are like dropping the ball, or they're still continuously, you know, just making the wrong decision or things like that, then you can start to think like, okay, is this going somewhere, or is this a waste of my time? You know?
Yeah, you should definitely trust a man that deserves it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Like you should be a man that's worth trusting. Yeah.
Yeah. So another point I feel like is very important is sex. Sex, y'all. I mean, me, I'm that girl. You know what I mean?
Creative.
We get creative.
The foundation, still creativity. It's still there. Yeah.
But I think a lot of people, when it comes to sex, you have to remain creative, especially if you're in a long-term relationship, but you also have to be able to communicate. It can't just be about like, oh my God, I bought these handcuffs and like a flogger. Let's try something. You know what I mean? You actually have to be able to communicate what your needs are. I think a lot of people in relationships feel like whatever the sex they were having when they first started dating is the sex that they should expect throughout the entirety of their relationship. So they feel scared to ask for something else as the relationship progresses with time.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, well, maybe I can't ask her to do this, or maybe I can't ask him to do this because this is what we've been doing this one thing for 3 years of our relationship.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, I feel like they get scared to communicate to their partner about their sexual needs and their sexual desires, because especially when you get together young, shit gets weird. Like you're gonna want to try different things, especially like if you got with your partner at 22, 24, and you weren't that sexually experienced in the first place. There are gonna be things that pique your curiosity that you have to be able to communicate interest in with your partner. And that can be a difficult conversation to have. And so Grant and I created this thing. It's called a sexercise, and maybe we'll actually link it in the description so you guys can use it. But basically, it's asking your partner how, on a scale of 1 to 10, how physically safe, mentally safe, emotionally safe, and sexually safe do you feel with me? Are there any things that you want to share with me that you're scared to share?
Yeah.
And luckily for us, we've had a lot of different conversations as it pertains to like sex and sexuality. And now I feel like we're on the same page. So there's nothing really that he could ask me for that I would feel embarrassed or ashamed to try,
and you also,
and vice versa.
The person who's receiving the like maybe criticism, or if your partner's coming at you being like, hey, I want this and I want to try this because I'm not really liking this or something, you have to make sure that you don't get in your head and you don't get like an ego of like, oh, she's saying that she doesn't want to be sexual with me, or she's saying that what I'm doing in the bedroom isn't satisfying her enough. You can't get in that ego, you know, and get upset about it. You have to kind of take what she's saying. I say she because like I feel like this happens probably more with men, where women are like, hey, I'm not fully satisfied. We need to try something new. You should be open to trying something new instead of shutting down and being like, oh, what is not good enough? You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm not good enough then.
Because your woman knows her body.
You're going to go get it somewhere else. You know? And women, I think, are better at speaking up about what their sexual needs are, you know? So
I think they're also better at receiving what men's interests are and implementing those interests than men are for women.
Well, I guess it depends actually, because I think there's a lot of women who can be more conservative than men when it comes to sex and things like that. And I think that happens a lot too with certain couples, and then I think men will go out and they'll start becoming regulars at strip clubs and things like that because they may not be able to communicate with their wives or whatever.
Yeah.
Because their wives are just completely shutting it down.
But I don't think that that's always the wife's fault. Like, if you're not communicating to your woman what your desires are, then how can she fulfill them?
Yeah, that's the thing too. You have to make sure that you've tried everything before you step out, or if you get a divorce over something like that, you have to make sure that you've at least voiced it.
I do feel as though, because you were saying earlier, if you have to ask the woman and she's not giving it to you, I think a lot of times there might be men who are asking for something sexually, but they're not willing to reciprocate. So I'm not finna do nasty, freaky stuff with you if you're not finna do nasty, freaky stuff to me.
It has to be reciprocated.
It has
to go both ways. Yeah.
Yeah, there has to be equity in that. And, a lot of people, and maybe we'll get into the sex talk on another episode, but there are a lot of people who are really
part of romance.
scared.
Yeah.
It's a big part. There are a lot of people who are really scared to get nasty and get kinky and try different things. And another episode that we should have, maybe we should have it behind a paywall because I'm actually nervous to share it, but engaging in kink in an interracial relationship.
Oh yeah, that is interesting.
Y'all, that was a hurdle. It's a hurdle. That is very hard. You know what I mean? It's very hard because you're as a white man, and I was like, this feels like.
Yeah, you definitely you gotta.
We're not gonna go in depth with all that.
Tiptoe around it. Yeah.
Tiptoe around it,
Yeah.
but
No, baby. I'm sorry. My girl.
we do feel like sex is a really big part, and this has been contentious for me on the podcast. But another thing I'm gonna say is body type. I don't care. I said it before. I'll say it again. If I have a specific body type that I'm into and my man is that body type when we meet and, he gets out of shape because life happens and weight fluctuates, you should be 100% able to comment on your partner's body type. I don't care what nobody says. Oh, nobody should be commenting on my body type. A man should never tell me how my body should look. Your man should be able to tell you that.
Yeah.
I don't care, guys.
And
I really don't care.
Like she said, it goes both ways too. You know what I mean?
Your man should be able to comment on your physique. If anybody in your life is able to comment on how your body looks, especially if it's coming from a good place, it should be your partner. If you told me that I said this already and people hated it, but if you told me that I needed to get it together because you felt like I was gaining too much weight and that people are sexually attracted to so many different things. And I don't expect to be overweight for my size and for you to be into that. That would just... Is that, I don't know. Apparently that's the wrong thing to say because it's not PC or whatever, but that's a case by case basis. If you don't mind weight fluctuating, then that's you. But no, I mean, we value
you should want to look your best for your partner, especially if
and for yourself.
But but it's I think it's for yourself, but I think it's very important to look good for your partner too.
Right.
To keep that spark, so you should continue to evaluate yourself and be like, okay, what do I need to change? What should I fix? If you really want a relationship to last long and to keep that freshness to it, then you should stay fresh. That makes sense. And it's been hard for both of us, with the weight thing, stuff like that. Things like that. But I mean, we still, ever since we started dating, we've been continuously making sure that we go to the gym and we do certain things to stay, somewhat fit for the most part. I think over the recent, the past few years, we've been more on top of it than I would say than we were before.
Right. And we keep it realistic. Our goals for each other are realistic.
Yeah, exactly. That too. And we're not verbally abusing each other in the sense of telling each other that, saying horrible things about one another. That is never going to work. If you're just constantly bullying one another, or one person is being bullied through the relationship and you're bullying your partner, being oh, I need you to be this way, get your ass in the gym, fatty, you know what I mean? If you're saying things like that, then that's never going to stick. It's never going to work.
Yeah.
And there's no respect, there's no respect there. On both sides. So,
and
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think also it's unfair to ask things of your partner that you came into the relationship with as it pertains to physicality or like their physical stature. You know, if we started dating and you were 300 pounds, it would be kind of messed up for me to be like, you need to get in the gym because this is not my body type.
That makes sense.
You know what I mean? That's not fair. Or if I was really, really skinny and I had no ass and no titties, it's unfair for you to be like, you need to go and bulk up and get a BBL because I'm not into this.
Yeah.
You should go be with
Dude,
a body
oh my
type
gosh.
that like works for you.
Guys who like go into a relationship and immediately start suggesting plastic surgery to their women are psychos.
That's insane.
That is crazy. You immediately go in there and be like, booty's looking a little flat there, you know what I mean? Or like let's juice it up a little bit, you know what I mean? That is so crazy to like put somebody through that, especially if they're not really if that wasn't even something that was on their radar, and now you're constantly bringing it up and putting it in their head that they need that. You know, that's just such a psychotic.
I think so too.
Take, you know, I knew somebody who was like that. A guy I used to work for.
Yeah, he
the guy
was
I used to work for
crazy.
literally like would start dating a girl. He started dating a girl while I was with him, and immediately was just critiquing her body and like just being a creep about it too. It was like creepy and weird, and he would talk about it like in front of us and stuff. You know what I mean? It was
with the girl
so
present
weird.
in the room.
Yeah,
would he be like, "Oh, she needs some new tits"? What do you guys think?
Just
like,
kind of like saying little things like that, yeah, in front of people, and it's like,
so
damn.
sad.
So I couldn't even imagine like what he's saying behind closed doors.
Yeah.
But I think eventually she ended up getting 2 different boob jobs. I think that like one of them like went wrong or something.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? So he's just like not even.
I couldn't do that.
Yeah, guys like that aren't even thinking about like the possible risk that they're putting their partner through by making them get surgery and go through these, you know, these surgeries.
Right. I think like, so I think that's a good point, right? Because I said your partner should be the person that's able to, the one person in your life at least, that should be able to comment on your body. However, if your partner is commenting on your body and it's coming from a place of malice, no, then they should not have an opinion.
Yeah.
But if it's for, you know, the betterment of themselves, like if it's for the betterment of you or for the betterment of the relationship or for the betterment of your sex life, and it's an achievable goal and it's not outlandish, then I don't feel like it's wrong for your partner to comment on your body. Because if I was getting like, if I was too thin or if I was too heavy and you were like, hey, can you like gain some more weight or lose some weight? I would take that into account. I would want to know, like, is that affecting your attractiveness to me in any way? Because that's something I can change, right? Granted, if it's changeable, I can change it. So that's how I feel.
Yeah, you have to be realistic about it, and you have to be cautious of how you're coming off too with your partner. Like you shouldn't just go right into it and be like, okay, let's start changing shit. You know what I mean? Like you have to make sure that you both are comfortable.
Oh, this is a tiny little trick to keep the romance alive. Day trips. I think a day trip keeps romance alive, or like doing cute little things like, let's just get a hotel for the night and pretend that we don't even live in this city and go do a bunch of fun things in the city, or build a fort
whole vacation
in our house
in a day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, and you can keep it cheap by just, even if you drive somewhere that's only a couple hours away or something that's still in like the vicinity, you can just book it for one night, but you make a day of both of those days. So you jam pack a bunch of stuff in that first day. So, you know, you got to like get up early, you head out and you start the activities early. And then by the end of the day, you know, you feel like you've already done like a 2-day thing. You know what I mean? Like you've put in 2 days of activity into one, and then you sleep there that night. And then in that same area, get breakfast the next morning, have some other activities in the area planned, you know, ready to go. And those 2 days will feel like a whole week if you've planned it right. You know, if you've planned it right, if you've gotten dinner for both nights, if you've, you know, went to breakfast for both days, like did a nice lunch. And then in between all of that, you have activities throughout. You can really like jam pack. And then what's the cost of that? Like obviously all the activities,
like $150, $200.
But like, yeah, like $150 to stay at a hotel, like pretty.
I mean, you can get an Airbnb cheap. You can rent a room at an Airbnb for like $40.
Yeah, I mean, you can do something cheap. Yeah.
Right. But maybe that would be like a $300 trip.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's great.
Instead of like a fucking vacation
Right.
that's thousands of dollars. Yeah.
And I think the last thing I want to say, and then we're going to give our advice. The last thing I will say, and if you guys need a part 2 of this, let us know. But we think that we've touched on a lot of really great things in this one. But the last thing I will say is men love being taken on dates.
It's true.
I don't feel as though dating your man is prioritized enough, or doing little small acts of service for your man is prioritized enough. We always see the standard tropes online where it's like, oh, I cook and I clean for my man and then we have sex and it's great. But maybe your man wants a gift basket. Maybe he had a really hard day and you need to go to like Target and buy him a cute little wire
it goes
basket.
back to the surprise element of it too. Surprising somebody with a gift, surprising your man with a gift is nice. Guys love surprise. Everybody loves surprises.
And I think that men's needs as it pertains to dating are undervalued and a little bit underserved, because the same thing with men's mental health. It's just a little bit, we're not really all there yet as a society to touch on that. But get him a wire basket from Target. Go get some of his favorite snacks. Give him a little spa day type thing. You know what I mean? Give him a card. Write in the card, hey, thank you so much. I appreciate your hard work. I know this has been a hard week.
That's a good one too. Cards go a long way.
Cards go a really long way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's
you can be very intentional with a card.
Or like writing a little note on a sticky note. Hey, babe, I love you. These types of things. And I feel like when I'm able to date you, when I'm able to take you on a date and like spend my money on you, there's something about that I just love, because it's not even like, it just feels as though I'm able to give you a fraction of what you give me when we go on dates. Because when we go out, you pay for everything. I don't worry about anything. I just show up. And so I like to be able to provide you with a similar experience. And I want to see in 2025 more women taking their men on dates. Like, baby, let's go out.
It builds more of a connection, and it also makes your partner that more excited to do the same for you. You know what I mean? Like it makes your man want to be like, oh damn, you're taking me out? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna take you out next weekend and it's gonna be amazing. You know what I mean? Like it gives like this fun kind of back and forth with it, you know? So no, that's super important. Yeah. It's important to do just nice things for your partners.
Yeah.
Like if you love the person, show them that. Show them that you love them.
And I'm not like a manosphere girly. Like I'm not just Pearly Things or whatever her name is, where it's like men have it so hard. I don't believe that men have it hard. But I do believe that men deserve to be pampered in their relationship outside of all of the, you know, stereotypical things of like sex and cooking and cleaning. Like I love being able to take you on a date and be like, get whatever you want, babe. It's on me.
And I get to sit in the passenger seat, and I'm just like,
y'all, I don't even let him drive.
Yeah.
I got my hand on his knee.
She drives. Yeah, she got my hand on my knee. I'm blushing. I'm like,
no, but it's really sweet. And it's a way that I feel like I can make you feel valued and extend my appreciation for all the sweet things that you've done for me, because the dates that I take you on could never measure up to all of the dates that you've taken me on.
We do sweet things for each other, you know.
Yeah, we do. But Grant's the king of dates, guys. He took me to Lake Tahoe for our anniversary. For my birthday 2 years ago, he got me a helicopter ride over Vegas at night. That was so fun. And I went on a solo birthday, and he sent flowers to my room at the Venetian. Yeah. And that was the same birthday that you rented then he drove down to Vegas to take me back to LA. What are some other dates? That time where you bought me a dress and you were like, here, let's go buy you a dress. I'm taking you to this surprise thing. So just staying intentional, staying creative. And
creativity, I think, is kind of the key.
Yeah. I think overall creativity is the key to maintaining romance in your relationship. But what's your advice? Do you have any relationship advice you want to leave them with?
Some advice, I guess, would be, I guess I'll just reiterate like the being creative, you know, like I think that being creative is it's a huge part of our relationship. Yeah. Because we're creatives and we implement it so much into our relationship, like even with the dates we do, you know, like even if you're just spending a day and you go to the dollar store and you buy some cheap painting stuff and you're able to paint with each other, and that's a good way of showing like how you feel about the person from what you paint or what you might write out and paint or something like that. You know, you can just be very intentional with artistic things. I think using art is an amazing way to it. Even like I said with having like a card for somebody. You can be so intentional with a card, and it's creative, and you know, you get the surprise,
tangible.
you get the surprise element of it, and it's not going to break the bank. You know, little things like that, I think are what you should keep in mind when you're being intentional with your partner.
My advice, and this is something based on what we experienced, don't take your partner on a date just for you to talk about how much it costs later.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to hear that. If you're going to do something nice for me, then do something nice for me.
Yeah.
And if I have something to say later, like, oh, 2 months later, I feel like we haven't gone on a date in a while. What are you talking about? 2 months ago, I took you on a $300 date. Don't bring it up. If that was your intention to take your partner on a nice date for them to have a great time and you guys had a wonderful evening, do not bring up how much it cost.
It's not ammo. Yeah.
It's not ammo, because then you're bastardizing the kindness of the event and the intention behind it. So it doesn't feel genuine anymore. It begins to feel like you're only doing nice things for me to be transactional so that you can bring it up later when we're fighting, so you can tell me not to fight with you when I have an issue about something in our relationship. So that's something that I would say as my piece of advice for the end of this episode is, if you're going to do something kind for your partner, especially as it pertains to dating and keeping the romance alive, do not throw it back in their face unless you're not feeling like, don't throw it back in their face. But if you're not feeling reciprocity, communicate that to them as effectively as you can, but don't be like, well, I do all this for you and you can't even do such and such. There's a way to go about these conversations. Grant and I are probably going to drop a little book about it later, but there definitely is a way to go about some of the harder conversations as it pertains to being appreciated and being respected in your relationship. So if you're going to do something nice, do something nice. Don't do it to lord it over your partner's head, especially as it pertains to romance or sex or intimacy.
Definitely.
So that's, one of the things, those are the things that we feel like help keep romance alive in your relationship. We will likely do a part 2 of this episode. You guys let us know if you want some more tips. We definitely know what we're talking about, because we've been together for 9 years and none of us, and neither of us have cheated. Have you cheated on me, Grant?
No.
Took a little long.
It took a little long.
Yep, neither of us had cheated, so we know what we're talking about, y'all. But
we keep it creative.
We keep it creative.
Thanks for coming on our little date night with us.
And you look so handsome.
We're looking nice and spiffy.
Thanks for taking me on a date.
Yeah, this was fun. In our living room.
In our podcast area.
Set. Yeah. So thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment. Like, what do you think is the key to keeping the romance alive in a relationship? Let us know if we missed anything, or if you have something to combat from what we said.
Right.
Let us know.
And if you guys have any questions on how to navigate some of those conversations, let us know and we'll do another podcast on that. Like if you're having issues talking to your partner about trying different things in sex, or communicating with them about intimacy, or communicating with them about how to go about your love language, let us know. And we will do additional podcast episodes on that. But until then, we'll see you guys next time. And we hope you have a very fantastic Valentine's Day.
Peace, guys.
Thanks for coming to our Valentine's Day special. Bye.
Hater.
You love me?
I love you.
Oh, I know.
That was great.